It is my great pleasure to welcome you to Zion's annual 2020 8th grade Spotlight. And to get things going today, I'd like to bring up and introduce to you our principal, Jeff Thorman.
Hello. If you would join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all that you do for us, Lord. We ask for your guidance and direction in our lives as we have walked through a difficult year. But Father, we know you have a plan. And we just ask that you continue to lead us and direct us and watch over us. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, this has been an interesting year. There's been lots of disappointment, but there's also been a lot of fun that has come about. Some of the social distancing was difficult because kids come to school because they want to be around their friends. I come to school because I want to be around the kids. So it's been quite a challenge. Some of us thought it would be kind of like a vacation when this started, but with social distancing that didn't really work out like we may have thought. I do know that God has a plan for each one of us. And you guys will be facing all kinds of challenges when you move on to high school. So we want you to stay focused. We want you to always know that you can come back and visit us. And we will always be here for you. But use the gifts and talents that God's given you for His glory. And you will be successful in what you do. And remember that God does have a plan for each one of you. And so as you prepare for high school, you can always remember that we'll be praying for you. And we all love you. Have a great day.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thorman. And now it is that time for our 8th graders to shine in the spotlight where they get to relate to us some of their own personal experiences and views. Without any further ado, our 8th grade class. Anna Miller.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was when I was in 3rd grade and Miss West took me to the teacher's lounge and gave me a piece of cake. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would get new sports jerseys, get new playground equipment, and build a tennis court. I, Hannah Miller, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my wheeze to Mallory. I leave my quietness to all future middle school classes. I leave my bad humor to Milan. I leave my clumsiness to Channing. And I leave my art supplies to Kaya.
Keaton Trevor.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was the 7th grade class trip when we were on the lake and went kayaking at Camp Lone Star. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would make it into a high school because the place feels so much like home. I just want to go there for the rest of my school time. I, Keaton Traber, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my open-mindedness to Caroline Johnson. I leave my high fives to Miss Scotty. And I leave my leadership skills to Channing.
Charlotte Vialaton.
My most memorable memory at Zion was probably the 6th grade trip and going to Austin. If I had $1 million, I would get a track around the soccer field, and I would make the playground better, and I would probably put in a pool so there can be a swim team. I, Charlotte Vialaton, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my ability to binge watch a Netflix show to Mallory Goodwin. I leave my love for apples to Peyton Romack. And I leave my ability to be very outgoing to Shaylee in 5th grade.
And look at this thing.
Mikey Gray.
My most memorable moment at Zion is getting baptized. If I had $1 million to spend in our school, I would definitely spend it on the new gym. I, Mikey, being of sound mind and body, hereby make this my last will and testament. I leave my humor to Lamek Zegai. I leave my Uno skills to Channing Scotty, and I leave my writing skills to Mallory Goodwin.
Logan Brooks.
My most memorable moment at Zion would be the 8th grade variety show. Me and some of my best friends did a parody on a song, and I had the most happy time of my life, the most fun. I couldn't think of anything more, and that's really what I love to do, is be around my friends and have a great time. If I had $1 million to spend at Zion, to improve Zion, I would spend it on the gym and on the stage. The gym, in my opinion, is still too small to hold activities, so we need a full-size gym to have some fun. And improve the stage, and so we can have proper lighting, proper flooring, new curtains, the whole 9 yards. It'd be so cool to see a brand new stage so every 8th grade can have their play. I, Logan, being sound mind and body, make this my last will and testament. I leave my leadership skills to Channing Scotty. I leave my comedy to Callum Tukey. I leave my courage to Caroline Johnson, and I leave my ability to make the most out of anything to Joshua Dubois.
Jessica Smurl.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was probably when I finished my AR goal last year in the 4th quarter, and I would bring a card game called Exploding Kittens to school and play it with my friends during deer time. It was always so much fun watching August and Logan argue. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would build a mini TCBY next to the garden so I could cool off on hot days outside with my friends. I, Jessica Smurl, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my love for video games and comics to all of 7th grade. I leave my resilience of rude people to all of 6th grade. I love my easy adaptation to new things to all of 5th grade. Good luck. I leave my patience to all the teachers, and I leave my empathy to everyone.
Kaylin Mant.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was probably our trip to Austin and Outdoor Ed. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would add an extension of restaurants and have more workout equipment. I, Kaylin Mant, being a sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my sense of humor to Mr. S. I leave my last brain cell to Juliet. I leave my record of 1 week with no marks to Mallory. I leave my love for volleyball to the future volleyball teams. And I leave all our amazing memories to the 8th grade class.
Derek Ginio.
My most memorable experience at Zion was winning the soccer championship this year. If I had $1 million to make Zion a better place, I would get a food court with all my favorite restaurants in it. I, Derek Tinio, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my athleticism to Paul, my intelligence to Lance, and my hatred to do homework to Gus.
Bo Haugen.
My most memorable moment at Zion is winning the basketball championship. If I had $1 million, I would build a food court with chefs. I, Bo Haugen, being sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my athletic ability to Lance. I leave my ability to get mad quick to Wilson. And lastly, I leave my hatred to Reed Salami.
Adiel Flores.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was when we won against Dallas International in soccer. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would add another playground just for middle schoolers and invest in the stage. I, Addie L. Flores, in mind, sound, and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my better gaming skills in Derek to Lance. I leave my Spanish to Lamek. I leave my determination to Dane.
Danielle Ramos.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was definitely being able to spend every morning in morning care with Miss Bennett and also getting to finish my homework that I didn't complete the night before. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would add more extracurriculars in sports. I, Danielle Ramos, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my ability to be at school an hour early every day to Mallory in 7th grade. I leave my shortness to Maddie Sue in 6th grade. I leave my ability to finish an entire project in one night to Channing in 7th grade. And lastly, I leave my indecisiveness to Peyton in 5th grade.
Alan Zegier.
My most memorable moment at Zion is the first day in 8th grade. If I had $1 million, I would build a huge food court. I, Alan Zegier, being sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my gaming skills to Lance. I leave my intelligence to Lamek. I leave my soccer skills to Paul.
August Hinkle.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was in 3rd grade when we would race to write our assignments down in our planner so we could get a mint from Mrs. Welsh. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would finish the funding for the new gym and probably upgrade the art room. I, August Hinkle, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my reading ability to Channing. I leave my love for hockey to Cade. I leave my humor to Noah. I leave my basketball skills to Charlie. And I leave my height to Naomi.
Miranda Gibson.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was the Austin trip in 6th grade. If I had $1 million to make Zion a better place, I would build a bigger gym, a pool, and a baseball and softball field. I, Miranda Gibson, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my math skills to the incoming 8th grade class. I leave my ability to read a book in 2 days to Aaron O'Brien. I leave my sarcasm to Channing and Owen in 7th grade. I leave my quietness to the incoming 7th graders, and I leave my hugs to Naomi.
Harrison Smithen.
My most memorable experience at Zion is probably confirmation, because that was that's really important to me, because if I hadn't gone to Zion, I probably would never have done that. And if I had $1 million, I would probably expand Zion's, make Zion bigger so there's enough space for students, or more space for students, and just improve that part of it, I guess. So, and me, Harrison, being of sound body and mind, do hereby make this my last will and testament. I leave my weird looks in the hallway to Nathaniel in 6th grade. So, and that's it.
Haley Romack.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was when Danielle, Charlotte, and I roomed with Miss Scotty on our 6th grade trip. She let us stay up late every night, and we made so many good memories and had even more laughs. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would provide the school with some nice locker rooms and build a track around the field. I, Bailey Romack, being of sound mind and body, hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my red hair to Callum in 5th grade. I leave my athletic abilities to the 6th grade class. I leave my awkwardness to Mallory in 7th grade. And I leave my obnoxious laugh to my sister Peyton in the 5th grade.
David Schroll.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was going on the 6th grade trip to Austin. If I had $1 million to spend, I would expand the gym, fix up the baseball diamonds so we can add baseball to the sport count, and buy more variety of instruments for the band hall. I, David, being of sound mind and body, do hereby make this my last will and testament. I leave my carpool experience to Josh and Jacob Dubois. I leave my love for Mrs. Scotty's class to Channing. And I leave my love for soccer to Lamech.
Ryan Markham.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion is winning the flag football championship. If I had $1 million to make Zion a better place, I would make the gym bigger. I, Ryan Markham, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my baseball skills to Dane, my basketball skills to Paul, my math skills to Millie, and my height to Max.
Jose Chalk.
My most memorable experience as a Zion student was when we won the soccer championship this year. After all those years of going to the finals but never winning. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would use it to build a brand new gym and to touch up the soccer field. And I would also get all the middle school students an iPad. I, Jose, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my happy memories we had in math class to Mr. Boehner. I leave my soccer skills to my brother Noah. I leave my memories that we would have had on the class trip to the 7th graders. I leave the fun memories I had in language arts to my brother Noah.
David Etherton.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion is when we went in the lake at Camp Lone Star in 7th grade. Some people sank their boats, and at the end of the time in the lake, we all jumped off of our boats. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would either pay the teachers way more money, or I would pay the music minister all of it. I, David Etherton, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my mostly clean markbook record to Noah Scotty. I leave my trombone playing skills to Jaden in 5th grade, and I leave my ability to keep the same binder and backpack for all 3 years of middle school to Sarah Etherton.
Eduardo Lamas.
My most memorable experience as a student at Zion was winning the soccer final in 8th grade. If I had $1 million to spend to make Zion a better place, I would give money for the sports and training equipment. I would also give money to Mr. Bainey's science class to be able to keep doing cool science lab experiments. I, Eduardo Lomas, being of sound mind and body, do hereby solemnly make this my last will and testament. I leave my passion for soccer to my brother Josemi Lomas. I leave my humor to Lamech. I leave my respect for the generous to every Zion student because they deserve to be treated nice for their hard work. And I leave my fun lunch memories with my friends to the 7th graders. That's it.
Thank you, 8th graders, for your comments, your last wills and testament, and your suggestions and ideas. Now, traditionally, it is the chance for teachers to respond. First up, Mrs. Scotty.
Hey 8th grade, it's Miss Scotty. Just wanted to tell you how much I love y'all and how much I'm going to miss y'all next year. A little bit that I have for you this day as we're remembering you in our 8th grade spotlight. I have a Bible verse for you, and it's from Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Well, this little page here, Makes me think of y'all quite a bit. And it has some well wishes and some hopes for you as you go on to your next endeavors. First of all, be bold. This class is full of amazing talent, and that includes you. You are smart, you're funny, you're creative, and I love that. Be bold. Be who you are, who God's created you to be. Be brave. Don't be afraid to stand up for what is right. Be brave. Going to high school is a tough step. Not going to know many people, perhaps, wherever you're going. Be brave. Be who you are in God. And finally, be courageous. You're going to be doing some hard things the next couple of years. You've done some hard things here at Zion, but we are just that building up foundation for who you are. And I just pray that as you are going on to your next thing, that you don't forget us, and that you hold fast to what you've learned here, and you just grow and blossom from this point. I love you. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Scotty. And now it's time for Mrs. Tiffy to say a few words.
Hey, 8th graders. When you were in my classroom, we spent a lot of time focusing on the past. 1941, 1776, 1492, AD 33. I wouldn't be surprised if you felt that studying history meant always looking behind us. But this year, you experienced firsthand the world's most significant historical event in generations. You are living through history. This is an event that will definitely make it into textbooks for students to study in the future. And they will study it the way we study history, other historical events, to see what we can learn from it to grow into our future. You can do that right now. Think of the lessons we have learned through this quarantine. The importance of connecting with others, even if it's just through a screen. Adapting to find success in uncertainty, stress, and less than ideal working conditions. No one wants to do school from their computer every day. Having to simplify our lives and slow down. Leaning on faith when God is the only sure thing around you. This may be the only global pandemic you experience, but it will not be the only time in your life when things feel uncertain, stressful, and out of control. Remember this time. Look at what worked for you and what did not work for you. Take these lessons and move forward into your future, armed with the knowledge you've learned through this personal history. By studying our past, we improve our present and equip ourselves for a better future. You have a bright, long future stretching ahead of you. In that future, take time to connect with others, in person, 6 feet away, and on a screen. Slow down and live essentially. Lean on God through the chaotic times, and the good times too. And come back and visit us at Zion so we can hear about all of your successes. God's blessings on your future. Congratulations on making through this historic time. You did it, and we are all so proud of you. We love you guys.
Thank you, Mrs. Tiffy. Heartfelt words indeed. Well, so now it's my turn. You know, we didn't get a chance to go on a class trip this year, everything going on. So I was thinking, what might have happened with our class if times had been normal and we'd had a chance to take a class trip? So here's what I think would have been going on, perhaps the highlight for each of our 8th grade students on the class trip. Hannah. Keeping up with her tradition of being tardy, Hannah showed up for our flight just barely in time to make it on board. Her only response was her big bright smile. Keaton. On our flight to Salt Lake City, Keaton, being an experienced air traveler, gave us all too much information about how planes can crash. A stewardess finally had to tell him to stop. He was upsetting the other passengers. Charlotte. When we got to Salt Lake City, at the airport, Charlotte discovered that all 5 of her bags were lost. We warned her not to bring so many clothes. She wound up sharing outfits with the other girls and still hasn't gotten her stuff back. Mikey. On our first full day in Salt Lake City, we just had to go visit the Mormon Tabernacle. Mikey spent a lot of time talking with some very nice Mormon people and decided to convert. We had to drag him away before they could baptize him. Logan. On the road to Yellowstone, the van with Logan in it had to stop every 45 minutes so he could go to the bathroom. About the length of one class period. It was annoying, but we were all used to it from school. Jessica. We stopped in Idaho Falls to shop for breakfasts and dinners, and Jessica insisted on buying all these exotic foods. She bought these fruits and veggies that no one had ever heard of before. She insisted it would be good, but none of the students would try it. Derek. I cooked our first meal in the cabin, and it was chilly, but Derek would not eat it. Turns out, he didn't eat any of the food we cooked. He brought along 5 pounds of beef jerky and survived on just that. Kaylin. The first night in the cabins, Kaylin got in a big shouting match with the other girls about who should sleep where. Eventually she got her way and claimed the king-size master bedroom to herself. The other girls put worms in her bed one night, and we heard her screams all the way to the boys' cabin next door. Bo. On our first day in Yellowstone, we had to stop for a herd of buffalo on the road. Bo got out to check it out, and one bull charged him, but Bo was fast enough to outrun it. Unfortunately, on his way back to the van, the buffalo got its revenge when Bo stepped in a huge pile of buffalo crap. He had to leave both his shoes by the side of the road. Adiel. When we came to our first hot spring, Addie decided to see just how hot a hot spring really is by sticking his hand in it. We warned him not to do it. His scream rivaled Kaylin's. Luckily, we had ice, and hey, he should be able to use his hand by the time school starts again. Danielle. At the Yellowstone gift shop, Danielle bought out the store. She bought cute wooden squirrels made of pine cones, wooden bison, Yellowstone patches, postcards. In the end, she had to leave half of it behind because it wouldn't fit in her suitcase. Alan. Our first night at campfire in Yellowstone, Alan heard some noises in the woods and tried to show not how scared he was. Everyone started making strange noises and he ran back to the cabin. Then 10 minutes later, he snuck back and scared us all with his imitation of a wolf howl. August. We took a hike on our second day, and August wandered off and got lost. We spent half a day looking for him. When we found him, he thought we were the ones that were lost and didn't even notice that he was by himself. He was roped to his dad for the rest of the trip. Miranda. On one of our walks, Miranda's big floppy hat blew off. When she went to get it, an elk had it in its mouth and ran off with it. Luckily, she had 6 more, and she hoped that the elk would enjoy the gift. Harrison. Harrison always wore his hoodie up, so he missed seeing most of the wildlife. Turns out he had his earbuds in the whole time too. We would talk about all the amazing things we saw, and he would say, "Huh? When was that?" Bailey. On one hike, Bailey was skipping down a trail, going downhill, and got going so fast she missed a turn and couldn't make it and wound up in a lake. We all had a really good laugh as she came up sputtering and covered with moss. It was a hot day, but she was the coolest of us all. David S. David Schroll became known as the Animal Whisperer. He became very adept at mimicking wildlife sounds. It did get pretty annoying when he would continue to do it in the van and wouldn't stop. Ryan. Ryan was pretty quiet the whole time, except for when he stumbled upon a grizzly bear with a cub. The bear lurched at him, and suddenly everyone in the park could hear him. He wouldn't stop talking about it the rest of the trip. Jose. We cooked our own meals in the cabin, and Jose became famous for his ability to cook. He was known as a whirlwind in the kitchen, known for his Jose sauce. We brought 3 bottles of it back with us. Now he plans to skip high school and go directly to cooking school. Well, on the flight back when we returned to Dallas, we were met by David Etherton and Eduardo. David E. wrote a song for us, and Eduardo put it to music. And while we went to get our luggage, they serenaded us with the welcome back song. They were both very loud and happy to see us when we got back. Well, it would have been a great trip, and I really hope you get to go someday. But wherever you travel, you'll always have Zion with you. No pandemic can ever take that away. Go out and do well. Don't be a stranger. Come back and visit. I know you're going to do well. You're going to do great. God bless you all.